Tip number 7 is don't be afraid of failure. I think in my earlier life I did fear failure and probably had many lost opportunities for learning and growth because of it. Today I can see that failure, given the proper calculation and acceptance of risk, can be a wonderful and enlightening way to learn. On May 5, 1961, Alan Shepard became the first U.S. astronaut when he flew aboard Freedom 7. His launch was a major triumph for the United States, as we had now put a man in space. It should be noted, however, that his flight was a 16-minute suborbital flight, and we would not actually put an astronaut into orbit until John Glenn's flight in 1962. This slide also shows the iconic original 7 astronauts and the presentation of the Medal of Honor from President Kennedy to Alan Shepard. Recall again, his 16-minute suborbital flight was on May 5, 1961. Then on May 25th, a mere 20 days later, with one suborbital flight to our credit, the President stood before a joint session of the House and Senate. He essentially said, "Now that we have such extensive human spaceflight experience, I challenge us to go to the moon." He went on and said, "Let's make it interesting. Let's do this in the next 8.5 years." Wow! We hadn't even put a man in orbit yet, and we were willing to accept the severe and uncertain challenges of space exploration to go to the moon and back before the end of the decade? Unbelievable courage and absolute refusal to fear failure. What a great life's lesson, and what a historic event of national pride for all Americans. Well, it wasn't without failures. But 8 years later, in July of 1969, we did achieve the impossible with Apollo 11. Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins would make history with the first ever landing of man on the moon. This image shows the quiet of the night before the launch and an actual liftoff of Apollo 11. Godspeed, Apollo. The United States went on to successfully land 12 men on the moon before the program was canceled following Apollo 17. A patriotic image of Apollo 11 as she begins her historic mission while flying past the American flag. God bless America. And now it is up to the current generation to not be afraid of failure, but to step bravely toward the future. There is currently considerable debate about the future of human space exploration. I have great faith that the United States and our international partners will land on their feet and will have a space program we can all be proud of. Time will tell, but we must not fear failure.